Hello, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, we're glad you're here. What secrets is a 1,000-year-old book cover whispering to us? It's an exquisite book cover of rare African ivory, intricately carved, beautifully designed. And at first glance, it might appear to be religious. Come with us as we delve deeper. This question goes to the taproot of who we are and how we got here. How do women fit in? Have we gotten to where we are today through the sword and slaughter? Or has it happened organically from families who helped each other, protected the beauty of their lands, and formed a strong, durable fabric? The question takes on greater urgency because of the governing crisis we are still trying to understand in the U.S. It also nails one big, unspoken piece of this puzzle. What role has religion played in governments? So we're asking this question by looking at Charlemagne and his times. Some 300 years earlier, Rome's occupying armies had withdrawn following their defeat at Worms and Trier in today's Germany. The church claims that Charlemagne converted to Christianity. This ivory book cover may be telling us a different story. The book cover may well have survived because its true import was camouflaged.
So let's consider the context. Around the 9th century, after the fall of Rome and before the Crusades began, the Romans invaded northern Europe again and attempted to impose a holy Roman Empire on the Celtic people. They destroyed books and art, enforced heresy laws, and banned all secular expression. Very few books or pieces of art survive from that era, and it's not because they weren't created. The account the Christians have given as conquerors is one of conversion by the sword, and that the leader of the Celts took the Christian faith and then went on to spread Christianity in Europe. We challenge that account based on evidence we have seen, and this ivory book cover seems to affirm our suspicions. Now let's take a look at this ivory book cover. It was carved in African ivory, a precious rare material, about the year 800 of the Common Era. Its size is about 10 by 14 inches. A key element about it is the fact that it has survived at all. The quality of the ivory carving indicates that this book was of special significance, that it may have been produced as an homage to Charlemagne and his family. It also echoes other known images of Charlemagne's mother, and we'll get to that a little later. Charlemagne was the exalted leader of Francia in that era, a likely subject for an image. Charlemagne himself founded 4 abbeys in the Oldenwald in Germany, and Lorsch was one of them, known for its library and its scriptoria, where books were produced. His family founded 8 or more abbeys in what is now France and Germany. Celtic artwork typically honored accomplishments and valor, so a commemorative book cover would be in keeping with that Celtic tradition. Jackie, what caught your eye when you first saw the book cover?
Those wonderful horned animals, they're very distinctive, with endearing, almost human qualities. We saw similar ones at Charlemagne's mother, Bertrada's hometown in Laon, just east of Paris, where they look out with watchful, riveted eyes from high on the magnificent building that arises above the ancient town. So I recognized them immediately. I had spotted them, too, at the Fest Hall in Saint-Denis, near Paris, where Bertrada is buried with other Carolingian leaders. As part of the Christian conquest, public Celtic halls were turned into Christian churches, and the Celtic trappings either destroyed or adapted into Christian themes. Still, you can often see traditions that carry over from the Fest Hall days. These animals caught my eye on the Lorsch ivory cover because we had seen them at 2 other places of such special importance to Charlemagne's family. I want to mention another design aspect favored by the Celts. What stands out about this cover is the archways. Celts typically honored key developments like the wheel that was featured on coins and paintings. The arch was a landmark architectural discovery that made the domed octagon possible by redistributing the weight of the roof. Especially in the Carolingian era, Celts exalted their heroes by placing them under archways and in alcoves.
Let's step back and put this period into a broader context for a moment. This was a time after the Roman Empire and during the expansion of the Christian church state. We don't know blow by blow how the Christian conquest of Europe was carried out. We do know that from the start, the Christian religion required exclusivity. No other gods, no women as gods. Celts venerated their women. Their invaders did not. Christian doctrine allowed no tolerance. Deviation was heresy, punishable by death. In short, invading Christians terrorized the residents, and especially the women. When women are portrayed on pedestals in Christian churches, for example, they tend to be holdovers from Celtic fest halls. In Bertrada's hometown of Lone, the statue of Bertrada holding the torch some 3 stories up may have been spared because it's hard to reach. At street level, we see multiple female statues that were beheaded and one where a child was wrenched from the mother's arms. You can still see the baby's little feet there. We've seen empty alcoves and defacements of female sculptures repeatedly in former fest halls throughout Europe.
Let's take another look at the book cover. In the center are Charlemagne's mother Bertrada and Charlemagne, and this reminds us of Bertrada's hometown of Lone again. She was born there, and the statues there must be for her because they do not conform to the Christian story. At the top of the roof, she holds high a torch, like the Statue of Liberty. She is leading the charge. She is lighting the way. The man on the left, clearly a man, is probably Bertrada's father, Count Charibor of Lone, under the archway, probably for founding the abbey at Prüm in Germany. Maybe Charlemagne's grandmother should be on the right side, but no, wait, is that a man or a woman to the right? The figure on the right side has been identified as Zacharias because of his characteristic incense burner. But look, the figure is female. The feet, the hips, the clothing, the hair. If this figure on the right is a woman, this piece likely was meant to be a family portrait with parents, daughter, and grandson. To evade heresy laws, artwork and literature had to contain some religious elements. This could explain the figure on the right. At first glance, it might be taken as Zacharias, but the main message is that it's a woman. The Christian dictates could also explain the adult figure that has been squeezed into the flat surface in front of the animals. But again, the main message is the animals. There's also a telltale trace of vandalism that suggests rough treatment. It looks as though the eyes held precious gems at one time.
When I think of the sway Rome held on Europe's church state, I think of the dominant Christians that tolerated no deviation, not even from other Christians. The sure way to avoid heresy was to permit only the writings that originated in Rome. The church state used the Latin language for communication and to enforce heresy laws. Anything not written in Latin would have been destroyed upon discovery. I'm thinking about the library at Alexandria that Christian missionary Cyril burned. I'm thinking about Mexico. I'm thinking about the Philippines, where Christians burned books as their first act of conquest. That means that Bibles written in the Vulgate are important, not just from the fact that they are written in the local language, but because they actually managed to escape destruction as heretical. With that kind of repressive atmosphere gripping Europe for more than a millennium, the crux of the matter can be seen in terms of loyalty. The loyalties demanded by Christians diametrically oppose Celtic devotion to family. A Celtic mother or father would die to protect their children. Just imagine how the Roman doctrine of a father sacrificing his own son would strike the Celtic psyche. It is an idea completely abhorrent to Celtic ideals of family. That brings us to another example we've seen in the heroic poem, the Chanson de Roland, written about Charlemagne's officer Roland, albeit some 200 years after the events described. Here are two soldiers talking about the upcoming battle. "'Twere good that we send the sons our wives have borne. I'll send mine own, though he should die therefore. Better by far the heads of them should fall, than we should lose honor, estate, and all, and be reduced to beggary and scorn." This passage conflicts with Celtic norms, but makes sense as camouflage, as a way to survive heresy laws.
To come at this question a different way, let's plug in a more likely scenario to the Charlemagne story than the Christian account and play out the narrative. Here we go. The Roman attackers return to Europe, kill Charlemagne, and declare he has converted to Christianity. They decree that all of Celtic Europe now belongs to the Holy Roman Empire. The Roman overlords turn the secular abbeys into male-only bastions. They ban secularism in the scriptoria. Lorsch Abbey is in the process of carving an ivory book cover to honor Charlemagne's family. It shows his mother Bertrada holding him in the center panel. The mother and child can make it past the Christian censors by making the male the focal point and his mother the accessory. The man on the left is his father, and he's fine because he's a male. Depicting Bertrada's grandmother, who founded Prum Abbey, is trickier because the Christians will destroy the entire work if it exalts a woman. Put a beard and mustache on her and call her a biblical figure. Say Zacharias. How is Zacharias identified? Give her an incense burner. In piecing together a better explanation that comes closer to reality, it helps to know the chain of custody for this exquisite and rare masterpiece. Blair, you've looked into this. What have you found?
The ivory book cover has been in the Victoria&AlbertMuseum in London for over 150 years. On arrival, the figure on the right was catalogued as Zacharias. The book cover arrived at the V&A by a circuitous route. Other parts of the book are in the Vatican and in Romania. Descriptions of the figure since acquisition by the V&A haven't changed. It's time to look at it again. To wrap up, the figure on the right of this ivory book cover may have been camouflaged as Zacharias because of the incense burner and the beard, but it's obviously a woman. In the center, the child would be Charlemagne, held by his mother Bertrada, as they appeared alone. To the left, Bertrada's father. To the right, her mother, not Zacharias. These are universally acknowledged founders of abbeys that were so important to Carolingian Europe at a time when women were founding and running them. Once Christianity took over, women were not even permitted in the abbeys. When the Christians took them over, they made them all male. When the women were founding the abbeys, Christianity obviously had not become entrenched in those places. Recognizing the figure on the right as a woman, and not Zacharias, allows us to see this work of art in an entirely different light, that it is not a religious piece, that it is an homage to a family. We can suppose from the time and place of its creation and its repetitions that it links to Charlemagne's family. It's made of very rare materials, made at Lorsch, one of Charlemagne's abbeys, repeats characters shown before as Bertrada, so we think we're looking at a hidden message. When the work was originally catalogued, it was probably done by a Christian man who took one look at the censor, identified it as Zacharias, in keeping with Christian doctrine, and looked no further. Why are these things camouflaged? So that the story can be passed down, maybe not explicitly, but as a memory aid for an oral tradition.
If you find this subject compelling, please pass it on to other interested parties who might be able to assist. We want to challenge the Christian claim on this masterpiece. An inquiry should be conducted. We feel it's an important part of Europe's past Celtic story, and that the woman's role has been hidden as it appears to have been here.
For more background on Charlemagne and his family, please see our book, Hidden Women, Charlemagne's Celtic Domain, available on Amazon. And watch our video, Charlemagne from Paris to Prague, on our website, www.portray.org. hiddenwomenbooks.com. Thank you for joining us today. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. We wish you all the best. Bye-bye.